Good afternoon and welcome to the Pasco Public Facilities District Board meeting. Agenda packets are available on the City of Pasco's website at www.pasco-wad.gov under the Public Facilities District Board webpage. Lastly, the public may submit their comments and/or questions by contacting the Pasco Public Facilities District Executive Director or Pasco City Clerk. So it is 4 p.m. and it is time to call to order our October 21st, 2025 Pasco Public Facilities District Board meeting. If you do the roll call, please.
Thank you. Carolyn Bowdish. Leonard Dietrich.
Yes.
Marie Gillespie. Here. Spencer Gillette.
Excused.
Thank you. And Mark Morissette.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Morissette, I'll note that nobody has asked to present at the meeting or anything.
Okay, thank you. Okay, agenda item number 4, approval of the September 16th, 2025 board meeting minutes.
Mr. Chairman, you might go with 3, recognition of any visitors or public comment in case there's anybody here.
Okay, I thought we.
No, I was answering the item on number 1.
Oh, so you're saying there's nobody here?
There's nobody has submitted a question or request under item number 1.
Okay, good.
But I think 3 is still on the table for you to cover.
Debbie's going to read it.
Yes. Public comments. This item is provided to allow the public an opportunity to bring items to the attention of the Pasco Public Facilities District Board. Its purpose is not to provide a venue for debate or for posing questions with the expectation of an immediate response. Public comments will normally be limited to 3 minutes by each speaker. Those with lengthy messages are invited to summarize their comments and/or submit written information for consideration by the PPFD board outside of formal meetings. Lastly, when called upon, please state your name and city or county of residence before providing your comments. Thank you.
Mr. Morissette, if you turn your mic on.
Boy, this is going to be a long one, isn't it? Debbie, I thought the city clerk did that. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to approve the September 16th, 2025 board meeting minutes. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, then all in favor of approving the minutes as presented, please say yes. Opposed, say no. The motion carries. The meeting minutes are approved. Next item, number 5, claims approval. And this is the approval of the September 2025 district claims, the accounts payable in the amount of $2,857,548.17. And Veronica, I think this is your.
Sure. So in your packet, a few pages in, I think it's page 8, there's a list of all the expenses that make up the 2.8 million. And I'm sure you guys have gone over that. Any questions really related to that? There wasn't anything out of the ordinary.
Only perhaps an editorial correction there, Veronica. The auditor payment to Franklin County?
Yes, it was supposed to be to the state of Washington.
Good.
And so we have, and since, and you'll see it on October's, it was voided and reissued for the state of Washington auditor's office.
All right, good. Thank you very much. So is there any discussion, any questions for Veronica? Hearing none, then would someone please go ahead and make the motion to approve the September accounts payable? Marie? Thank you.
I move to approve the September 2025 PPFD claims accounts payable in the amount of $2,857,548.17.
Yes. So it's been moved and seconded to approve the September accounts payable in the amount of $2,857,548.17. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, then all in favor of paying the bills for September as presented, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. All right, motion carries. The bills are paid. Financial report, item number 6, the September 2025 balance sheet, budget performance report, local tax distribution report, local sales tax percentage, and aquatic center budget tracker. Veronica, I think, even though you're not down there in the brackets.
There you go. We'll start off with the balance sheet. Again, nothing out of the normal here. So far for investments, we still have 27 million invested. For the month of October, you won't see this here because this is September. I did complete a transfer to get ready to pay for the debt service payment that will be withdrawn from the account on November 1st. So you'll see that on the next couple months. In addition to that, we're still receiving the interest payments, and so you'll see that on the balance sheet on the budget performance reports. Nothing, again, out of the normal. Any questions for those?
Are there any questions for Veronica?
I guess not specific on that, but trying to watch the dollars coming in.
Right.
Down 7% this month, or actually 2 months. But what's your feeling and how you? No justification, it is what it is.
Right. I did see that it did go down 7%. What we try to do, I think the average that we're looking for is 415 to make sure we hit what we budgeted, which is 5 million at the end of the year. So even though it did drop 7%, we're still at 424, so we're still above average. And all we can do is just keep an eye on it there. We can compare it to, I'll look closer to see if we're dropping tremendously, but I think it'll go up again and then back down just as it has been in the past. Right. Right.
Strong. Because there was inflation that has happened before, that number was set.
Right.
And so was that 425 needs to be, or should it be 425 plus, excuse me. And from my standpoint of looking, that is a very concern of mine.
Yes, as I said before, as long as we're hitting our 415, we'll hit our $5 million budgeted amount. And within that 5 million, it should cover what we have budgeted for expenses and also our debt service payments. So if it ever starts to drop below the 415 consistently, then we'll have to have conversations there as far as current expenses and how to keep our expenses low or as low as possible so that we can make sure we can make our debt service payments from then on. But as of right now, we have hit the 415 average. And so it's still looking okay as of right now. Right. Right. And I will take that into consideration as I start to build the 2026 budget for you as well.
Thank you. And also keep in mind, we got to have that, in order for all this to work, we need to have that 3% increase, that growth in sales tax collections. That's how the long-term budget.
Oh, right.
So kind of just keep that in the back of your mind.
We'll keep looking at it.
Already starting out back behind, so just, this economy isn't over with yet.
This report, is this available only to the city, or can anybody go out onto for example, the Washington State Department of Revenue webpage and find these reports?
No, that is something that I create specifically for the PFD. I have access to the Department of Revenue site and I have requested special permission to download the information. And then I take it and put it into a graph for you based off of the industry. And so it's something that we, the city, have access to, but not your general public, no.
Reason why I ask is I'm keenly interested in these sales tax trends
Okay,
also. And if I don't save these like I should because I just decided to work on this little project.
okay.
And is it possible that I can ask for some previous months from you and I can get those from you?
Yes, I have every one of them. So I can just let me know which months you need and I can get those over to you.
Okay, so it won't be September 2025.
Okay.
It'll be all the others.
Sounds good. How far back would you like to go?
I don't know. Let me look.
Okay,
Let
sounds
me
good.
look and then I'll get in touch with you. Thank you.
Alrighty.
Is there a particular industry that's decreasing more than the others?
I have not paid close attention to that. I can look into it. But again, I just run the reports and it seems to be pretty consistent, but you just never know. Sometimes you'll have months where car sales will be up and construction will be up and then vice versa. They'll go down. So it just kind of depends on the economy and what's going on, time of year as well.
Yeah, what I've been, yes, from my standpoint, Maria, on that is, it was suggested to me probably 5 years ago from a city manager, and he said, what we need to look at is construction. Construction starts dropping off, because construction's probably close to 30% of what we do as far as income. When that starts dropping down, then you start wondering what's happening on. Then you sneak over and look at car sales, because that's one of the large ones that we do. And so, yeah, I don't know that it's, I don't want to be argumentative, but I don't know if it's across the board or where it's at, but there are larger caveats that we need to pay attention to. We can't necessarily change them from up here, but we just need to be aware of that and make adjustments as soon as we can.
Is car sales included in retail trade?
Yes.
Is that category?
Any more questions for Veronica? If not, we'll move on to 6B, financial audit report.
Alrighty. So we did complete the financial audit and it has been publicized. And so I included the report for your review. And so just to go over, I won't go over every piece or every paper in the final audit report, but I will go over the important part, which is the finding and responses that we did receive. Both have been corrected, and so next year we shouldn't have these issues happen. And so there was also a response that I wrote in response to the findings, so that you can, and you'll see that in the report as well. Basically, just to give a quick update on what the findings were on. One of the statements of net position did not include the bond. Now, the auditors considered this a misstatement of funds, but it wasn't a misstatement because it was still stated throughout the financial report. It was just missing from one of the statement charts. And the reason for that is not a very good one, but this was the first year that we created such an in-depth report, a financial statement report in comparison to previous years because of the bond and the amount of money that we have been receiving with taxes as well. That all of these charts and reports had to be created from scratch. And as they were, it was a simple copy and paste error. So in our rough draft, it was completed correctly, but we didn't copy and paste it over to the final that was given to the auditors. And so because of that, it was a misstatement on the statement of net position and considered a finding. So again, it was corrected while the auditors were here and updated. And so that has already been taken care of. The additional piece of the finding was that the cash balance was overstated by $288,000. Again, this is not something that we were not aware of. It was a software error. And I don't know if you guys recall, we purchased a bank recon module to utilize that module to do bank reconciliations as we move forward into opening the aquatic center. And there was a glitch in the software piece. So the software software company that we're using is working to correct it, and we are almost done with correcting it now. The auditors are very well aware of it, and it was documented. It just wasn't sufficient documentation for them. We couldn't go in and fix it because it was a software glitch. But again, we are working with the software company now, and I should have it fixed in the next couple weeks. But we have been communicating that with the auditors, and it was noted on our reconciliation. So it just wasn't a sufficient fix in their point of view. So again, we won't have these issues next year moving forward, but they were considered findings. And so that's what we received for the finding audit. It wasn't a gross misstatement or of anything, and there wasn't any lost funds or anything like that, no fraud, but they were considered findings. And so they did make the report and they have been corrected. And then our accountability audit is underway now, and I just received an email a few minutes ago that was completed, and so we'll have an exit probably next week, and so I'll report on that in the next few weeks. That one I think is going way better than this one because I haven't received any notification of any findings on that one. Any questions on the finance report?
Statement and a question in regards to that. I mean, first right up front, it wasn't a very good report for just an average person. That's all I am, an average person looking at it. When they state it and you read it, it doesn't come across very well.
Right.
Would we have caught these things on our own, or had we not been audited, would they still be rolling along?
No, I don't think so. The one issue with the copy and paste, we did implement and talk to the auditors about having an additional reviewer. In this case, I was the only reviewer, and I did have someone else look at it, but they didn't put the amount of time that they probably should have. And so moving forward, we will have an additional reviewer just to go over kind of what I've worked on. But the other one, the 288,000, that one was noted, it was calculated, it was obvious, and we were working to correct it when the auditors came in. So we won't have those issues moving
Okay,
forward.
so you noted it prior to the auditors?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
It just wasn't sufficient notice and sufficient documentation. They wanted it corrected before they came, and I couldn't correct it. I was working with the software company to correct it while they came on site. So it wasn't done yet. It was a timing thing.
Okay, so your answer, if I'm reading it right, is that we would have caught it and fixed it even if they didn't come in?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
The first thing then, Veronica, there was a time when I was your age. And I see this for you as one of these professional growth times.
Mhm.
And one of those professional growth things that I had to work through and is that, in fact, we still have to check the box when we issue financial statements is we have to read them.
Right.
So I have a question then regarding the bank reconciliation. How does that mean that the report that we get, is this bank balance correct?
Yes, everything there is fine because at the same time that we were implemented the software module, I was still running a parallel reconciliation, a manual one on an Excel spreadsheet, if you will. And we will continue to do so until the software is corrected. And so I have those 2 years going back. And so that what you see in your GL report is correct. Yes.
What report do we give? I think when the bond agreement calls that we're supposed to provide a financial report to somebody, I'm not exactly sure who that somebody is anymore. Is the report that they receiving going to be this last time and even going forward? Is it going to be after the audited financial statements have gone through the state auditor's office? You know, off the top of your head, how that's going to work?
It is, and we've already reported. It was due September 30th, and I uploaded that too. It's called the EMMA. I don't know what the acronym stands for, but it's a website. And that what you do there is you upload your audited financial statement. So this statement, this report is what was uploaded, in addition to a few other requests, such as the tax report on how much money we received. And then there was the financial statement, and there was one other thing, but that has already been uploaded and taken care of, and that's what you have to upload and report annually. So it's after the auditors have arrived and checked your financial statement.
And they're okay with this much difference between the year-end date and when the statements are issued?
Yes.
9 months later, they're not giving us any heartburn?
No, it's when the auditors come in and your report is done. You have, it doesn't matter when you were audited, you have until September 30th to upload your documentation. And so that's why the auditors came in late, and they were in a hurry also to get the audit done in time so that we were able to get the final report uploaded into Emma. So that's a domino effect. They also have deadlines that they have to reach because of other deadlines, and it's exactly what happened here.
Okay. As we roll forward into 2026, and maybe, do you have the balance sheet in front of you by any chance?
Yes.
And you can correct me if I'm wrong. And so you'll notice on page 1 of 2, the total assets prior year to date is 59 million. And then on page 2 of 2, the liabilities and the fund equity is 64 million. So we have that difference of 4.6 million.
Yes.
So as we roll, and I'm not gonna say you gotta go back and correct this, but maybe as we roll forward, you kind of keep an eye to make sure that both the current year and the prior year, that those assets are equal to the liabilities and the fund equity.
Right. And what it's doing is it's taking our fund balance into consideration as well. So I will, let me see.
You don't have to do anything with it now.
Okay.
But just be aware of it as we roll forward.
Sure.
that Those start to come together.
All right. Sounds
All
good.
right, thank you. Okay, are there any other questions for Veronica? Let me roll through my pages here to make sure. I do have one quick question. The way they phrased it on the way the auditors phrased it, that it was other financing sources on the statement of revenue expenditures and changes in fund balance, and this is on page 22.
Yes.
Is it that section down there where it reads other financing sources, uses, the 50,544,000, is that where it was left off?
It was left off. Yeah. The statement, there's let me see if I can find it. It's going to be towards the back of the financial statement. It's a statement of net position that lists out any other financing sources, and this specific financing source was the bond itself. So
Right.
while it was listed throughout the financial statement and every one of the other ones, it just wasn't listed on this one.
Well, I was just trying to cross-reference what the state auditor wrote as up for with where I thought it was showing up or was not showing up. And this is the page it looked like it wasn't showing up.
Right. It's probably that one. It's
Okay.
a statement of net position. Mhm.
Okay, that's fine. Okay,
I just have a question. When we look at the financial reports and we listen, we don't pass that we agree with them. All we're doing is receiving information. That information may or may not be correct. Okay.
yeah, so my memory is that this is strictly an information item for us.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we will move on to agenda item number 6C, arbitrage analysis.
Okay. And this is just simply to give you an update. When we received the bonds and we talked about investing of the bonds, one of our concerns about investing was arbitrage and making sure we didn't have earnings that went above or exceed the bond yield. With that being said, we as a board decided to move forward with investing, and we've done very well with those investment earnings. Because of that, we are now concerned that we may have gone over the bond yield. And so I have reached out to an arbitrage consultant. And we do have a 2-year tax exemption that we received when we sold these bonds as well. What him and I talked about was doing an analysis after our first year to make sure that we didn't go over the bond yield. And the reason for that is because if we did, any excess funds that we received by exceeding the bond yields would have to be paid back or rebated back to the IRS. And so before we start to spend those investment earnings, we want to make sure that if there is any proceeds that we do need to pay back, we know that ahead of time before we start spending. For instance, if we make $1 million and we were only supposed to, and our bond yield was 600, we will have to pay back $400,000 to the IRS. Now, I'm not saying that we have to pay back 400. It's just an example. Where we are right now is I believe we're at 837,000 as of today. 1 million, including the dollars from operations that we invested. So what we discussed when I talked to the consultant was that we would do an analysis at the end of December and see where we were for the first year of our investment earnings and try and calculate out where we would be at the end of the second year. Because the other thing that you want to take into consideration is that we started off investing 40 million and now we're down to 27. So we're not making as much interest, but we made quite a bit in the first few months, right? So that being said, we want to not move forward with any spending of that investment earnings yet until the analysis is done. We will request the analysis to be done at the beginning of January to include the month of December, and then I'll report back what they find, and that should help us make some decisions as we move forward into the end of or the beginning of 2026 and how we're going to utilize those investment earning funds. Just wanted to give you an update on where we were with that.
That's interesting, and I understand why they do that. A question I would have, is this the aggregate of what we do? Because as interest rates, as we're receiving them, they start out at one point, and as they've been dropping, they may go down below. And so is it the accumulative of the investment and whether it matches what we had to pay out versus what we received? Is it accumulative is what I'm looking for, or can it be accumulative?
I don't know. There's very specifics, and the formula was very intricate if you look at the bond documents, which is why when Matt and I talked about it, we decided to ask a consultant for more of a official review. There was a lot of stipulations in the bond documents as far as how much you can earn within the first 6 months, 18 months, even up to 24 months, and at the end of 5 years. Our specific case is a little bit different because we have to have the bond money spent by 18 months after we received it, which is around our May, but that's not the full 5 years. It'll be 18 months according to the bond. So they're going to do all the analysis and do the calculation and let us know where we land with that, because it was a little bit over our head.
Yeah, just make sure I would suggest that we know what the answer
Sure.
is so that we can deal with it as we move along, because there may be times when you get more than what is.
Oh, definitely.
And you get less than, but
And Mr. Dietrich and board too, and I wanted to include myself on this too, because remember that when we did have the bond, we had our bond attorney, Mr. Greeno, he did mention that arbitrage is a bit complex, and did caution and encourage us to do this. So talking with Veronica, asking the question, whether or not, how complex it is, again, we did talk, and bringing in somebody to do that work. And I would note that the city's going to do that. That will probably be a few $1,000s to do this, but it's a critically important given we don't want to have to give back money to the IRS if we don't want to. And so this is exactly the time for it. So that's why we are engaging in a specialist in the field and that does that specific kind of analysis.
thank you.
I would also just note and add that money is also an important part of the process for construction. So having a specific amount that we could be able to spend is going to become important to us as we think about future betterments. Her note to make sure that we don't spend any of that before we know what we can do is going to be critical. That just to let you know, give you a little heads up, that might color some of the things that Mr. Gardner is going to be talking about in the future. There is a relationship between these things, and it's a needle that we need to make sure we thread accurately. And I appreciate Veronica's seeking out some professional expertise on that. I think that's going to help us.
Yeah, no, I agree with seeking the professional advice on this. This certainly isn't the first time this has come up in the world. And so whoever you're speaking to says, oh, we did this and this is what it is. And you'll have the answer at that point in time.
I'll just add a lot of our public clients for our company are dealing with this right now because the investments are doing well. So, so, and so everybody's having to review. It's been a while since the investments did well enough that everybody had to worry about it. And now it seems to be happening. So Veronica's handling this very well.
That one? Okay. I assume there's no more questions for Matt or Veronica, so we'll move on to number 7, reports from committees. And first, the design and construction.
Well, construction's going very well. We did a site walk a couple of weeks ago and saw a lot of progress. Walls and ceilings are up and concrete's being poured and rebar's being tied and all kinds of good things are happening. So it appears like everything is going well. And we're maintaining schedule. So it's all good news from here. We did talk a little bit about strategy for how to fund betterments going forward. And we'll talk a little bit about some small betterments that we're going to recommend for approval tonight. And then I think as we go forward in the coming months, we'll continue to look at what's the likelihood of being able to afford some of the larger betterments, like a third slide, originating from the indoor pool landing outside or the additional slide tower on the outside. I think we'd all really like to have an outdoor slide tower. That would really be wonderful. So we're working towards trying to figure out how to be able to afford that. Any questions?
Right, thank you. Thank you. So on to the Budget and Finance Committee. And Caroline and Matt are going to report to us on the Association of Washington State Public Facilities Districts Conference. Please go ahead.
We didn't rehearse this. Would you like to go first, Ms. Bowdish, on your impressions from the conference?
I don't care.
Well, I'll go, and then if you want to add any color too, because I enjoyed you being there and
Okay.
appreciated your insightfulness on a couple of important points.
Okay.
Mainly, I wanted to report, besides the usual case where when PFDs get together at a state conference, they share what's going on with them. In the past, I've always noticed that Pasco's been a facility or an operation that's been the pass-through for the Kennewick and not had its own project. Now that not only do we have a project, but it's going to be completed in the next year, the discussions that happen, I think, are going to be more and more common with our PFD agencies across the state. So hearing what they're doing with their facilities as they age and have challenges for financing and everything has been helpful. There is one particular thing that I did want to note that was an important part of that conversation. Was I had reported before the question about bylaws, about the organization itself. We devoted a significant amount of time on one of the days talking as a group how the bylaws should be. And I have a much more positive report. In general, it's not done yet. I just want to give an update, though, that the bylaws, the principle of coalition of the willing is an important principle. And where I was concerned that if we were to participate, we'd be locked in forever is not true. We heard that multiple times. The bylaws that they're planning are going to have PFDs be a member from a year-to-year basis. There's potential, even if you're not a member, still be able to go to the conferences. You would just not be able to be a participating or voting member. Again, they've not done the bylaws formally, but I think after that session, the group of 5 that is part of the structure should formalize those, and then it would be ratified, I believe, at the following year meeting. I just wanted to give an update, though, that I think some of the concerns that we were shared before have abated. And so in the future, when they actually do have bylaws, I'm hopeful that you would want to participate. I think also the question mark of the dues on an annual basis. There may be some adjustments, but I don't anticipate those dues changing a whole lot from the $750 a year term. So those were, I was particularly keen to do that, but also note that we were at the Toyota Center in Wenatchee, which is interesting. It's similar to our Toyota Center here in the Tri-Cities, that they have a hockey team and a sheet of ice, and the guy who runs that is an interesting character. And hearing stories from him about managing PFDs in the community, it was sort of a parallel between what we're doing for our facility as well as Kennewick's center. The expansion that they're going through as well. So great to see other PFDs in the state doing good things, and PFDs as a district are going to be continuing to be an important part for local development of regional facilities. That's kind of my takeaway. I would be curious of Ms. Bowdish's impressions.
Okay. Do you remember this passing Senate Bill 5001? Do you remember anything on that the first night?
I remember the details that was one of those that tended to affect the other PFDs directly and immediately. I'm not sure how much it affected us currently, but it could be one of those that might affect us in the future once we have a facility up and going.
Okay.
But I couldn't speak to the details.
Okay, so there were, the main day was Thursday, and the first real presentation is called The Changing Nature of Cyber Coverage and Cyber Risk. It was presented by an insurance agent who actually did a pretty good job of presenting his point of view and the risks. Preparing for an audit was a presentation. And we had a lobbyist update. We owe him money, by the way. We as a PFD do. Then we had the election of officers, which changed this year. Betty's not having to do quite so much now. Betty Erickson. And then one that I found to be very interesting was on energy efficiency. And I don't know if you and your friend have done any follow-up on that. They had numerous high school students over, and they were talking about a setup with a company that funded a camp for these students during the summer. And then by the time the school year rolled around, they knew what they were doing and could do an audit of your building, your facility, and see where you could save money on energy because they knew what to look for. And so these high school students, who, typical looking high school students, but they were very enthusiastic about being able to do this and save people some money. And the energy management is a long-term proposition. I mean, it's not something that you just do the first couple of months and then forget about it. It's an ongoing thing because it keeps changing and equipment wears out and that sort of thing. So it didn't cost the PFDs anything because this company was sponsoring the training of the students, and they were getting paid, so they were happy. And it was a very creative approach to wrestling with a big problem. So Matt, is there been any follow-up on your end with that
But-
idea?
The energy usage thing where I believe for existing facilities, so my interest was, since I have a girlfriend who's with Pasco School District, I thought the school district might be interested. So it's external to the PFD that I was interested in that. So
Well, this whole idea involves working with other groups, so you can't do it by yourself. I mean, it involves working
Yes.
with a school district, so.
So I don't think we'll be subject to it because we have a brand new facility that meets all of the codes. I think that existing organizations that have existing facilities took particularly interest in it because there are requirements that they have to go through to save energy. And the upshot of it was this ragtag fleet of high school students with a little bit of training were doing a solid job on that.
Then we had a thing on financial feasibility reviews through the Department of Commerce. I don't always understand these things, but anyway. A financial update for the Association of Washington State PFDs. And then it was more tours and social things and so forth. So it seemed like a very worthwhile conference. I mean, I thought that one idea was very interesting, and it's different people take different things away from it, but getting together with other PFDs, it just, it lets you know you're not the only 5 people in the world trying to do this. And I think membership is valuable. So. Do you want to add anything more, Matt?
No, I think you've covered it expansively. It was an action-packed day, a little over a day. And
Yeah.
hopefully worthwhile to you as a PFD member, and I know it was worthwhile to me.
Yeah.
Two questions. What was how many PFD members do you believe were there in attendance? And then the other one was, you sparked my curiosity when you said, and the lobbyists, we as the PFD owe money.
It's the association that owes him money.
Okay, yeah, because you said we as a PFD.
Yeah,
money,
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I thought about that after I said it. And I thought I didn't.
I thought
word that
let-
very-
let me-
say it.
I didn't word that very well. I'm
No, you did
sorry.
just fine.
If you don't mind, like to take a swing on it, and I'll try and not politic it up. The organization still doesn't exist. There are some members that believe that PFD should have been paying this all along, but other PFDs, including us, if it is not a formal organization, there isn't a debt. So there was a hang up with that. I believe the question will come up is once there are bylaws in place and it is a formal organization, whether or not to retroactively pay 2024 and 2025 dues are going to be up to each individual PFD. And when they get that, I will bring the question back to you, and I'm sure it will be considered discussion on whether or not to do the things that are in arrears. I just would note that there has been a lobbyist that does continue to work generally on the behalf of PFDs and did get legislation last year, and he's not been being paid. Don't think that we need to pay that. That's not a requirement. This organization has existed on a shoestring budget for a number of years, and I think the question of the value of it still is one that this group needs to answer, but it's not quite ready since they need to have bylaws in place. Is that a little better answer to that? Hopefully, Mr. Dietrich.
And the approximate number of attendees?
Oh, about 25. I remember half a dozen,
People or
Well, yes,
groups?
people who attended.
Or just people who attended?
about 25. It's slightly larger than last year and certainly larger than the year before. I would note also that Kennewick PFD was present, Spokane PFD, there were a large number of Eastern Washington PFDs present.
Matt, do you know how much is owed to the lobbyist? Did anybody?
I don't know what the dollar amount is, but if you pro rata it out, if most of the dues tend to go to the lobbyist because we pay for the conference amount. So if there are 20 PFDs that theoretically would pay $1,500, it would be whatever the multiplication of those two numbers
And
together.
how old is that bill
2024, 2025.
for the lobbyist?
Some PFDs have paid the amount, some have not. So I don't know what the makeup is.
Yeah, it's a little
They
bit.
didn't tell us.
They didn't tell you. So it's a little, I guess the word I'll use, surprising that they went ahead and obligated whoever.
They did not obligate.
I know that's what I mean, that this person spoke on behalf of the organization to make this seem that now the association is obligated for this when
They did not do that.
that's the problem.
Mm.
Yes, I agree. Well, yeah, I guess that's a good question. I guess maybe we'll have to do the honorable thing. I don't know. Anyway, so are we supposed to make a decision tonight on this, or this is just an
Just an
informational?
just an update. I would really like you to know that the tone that I was worried that there was, once we went in with this, we'd be obligated, and that was absolutely not the tone, and that was clear with the other PFDs. This needs to be a coalition of the willing. Once the bylaws are adopted and there is a clear path, I'd like to come back and present it to the board at a later date.
That'll be over a year from now.
My understanding is the bylaws could be adopted by the 5 board members that were chosen and then affirmed at the next annual meeting.
My comment on the dues that are writing since 24, 25, and now it'd be 26, is that if we've participated in that organization, we owe that organization something, whatever that number is. The decision will be what their due structure will be moving forward as to whether or not it's worth it to be there.
Yes.
But I don't believe in freeloaders, and we don't want to be one of those.
Absolutely. Just also to add just one more bit, there was also discussion on whether or not dues should be on a sliding scale relative to the amount of sales tax each jurisdiction receives, or setting a threshold. That's under discussion. It was not decided, but I think the group of 5 are gonna decide that when they come up with the final bylaws.
That's where complexity starts to creep in.
It is. I would also take one more step and say, if anybody would like to go to next year's conference, it is a very worthwhile organization. And it's going to be the same time frame in September, October. So think about going that. And, we could do another member without have to worry about quorum.
And any guesses where it will be next?
Can you remember where it's going to be held? It was somewhere on the west side. So they're trying to alternate east and west side.
Yeah,
Wenatchee was considered east.
Yes, west side, and I can't remember. I apologize for not knowing that.
Okay,
but
I can't remember either.
Puget Sound area.
Well, if I don't go and they talk about dues, maybe in their budgeting process, they could have a annual cost recovery, so to speak of, and if they're going to do some extra lobbying, that would be like a separate amount.
I could feed that.
Yeah,
idea
just
back to them.
yeah, if you get a chance.
Social assessment.
Yes, of some sort. Okay, any more questions or comments for Matt or Carolyn? If not, then we will move on to, and there's no old business that we need to talk through, is there, Matt? Okay. Number 9, new business, which is approved change orders for aquatic facility construction project, Gardner and Watkins.
Yeah, and I'll start this off, and it may need support from Heath on this. And I believe, let's see, I'm looking through the packet, and I want to make sure because I have 2 similar looking memos. The make sure.
If I might, Matt, because that's one of my questions I had written down is how is, and you can describe it as you're moving through it, but how is that the change orders and that being placed in, and how is the value of those being looked in on this? So rather than just a flat number, how did we arrive at that specific one?
I'm gonna need Heath on that one.
Yeah, that's going to be one of my questions, and you might as well answer it in your.
You're asking like, you get a report with just a lump sum number for the thing, right? Yeah, no, there's a bunch of breakdown of those that we review and look at with the contractor, and we vet that pricing, and oftentimes have questions that we question back. We'll go back and forth. Hey, is this really accurate? We make sure those change orders are accurate and fair before they're approved. And that goes for both change orders and for contingency usage within their contract, which a lot of these things that Matt's showing you are contingency usage within their contract. But either way, we get to see the granular pricing, we get to review it, and we ask questions and we look into. And then also, once those numbers are established, those are still part of their time and materials contract. So it's not a final number because it just adds or subtracts from their costs. While the ones that are inside the contract are costs, the other ones are increases of their contract, but then it's still part of their cost plus contract. Does that make sense?
And that's what you represent to us.
Yeah.
That's where they come to you. And you negotiate, okay.
That's where I
this is the
represent you,
project.
yes.
Yeah, okay, I agree, and here's what it is, then it goes to Matt. And I'm just trying to understand
Correct.
the pathway.
And I do get those detailed reports, but I also rely on Heath to explain them. Sometimes I don't have the depth of knowledge to understand those. I didn't include them in your packet because they are fairly voluminous, and did it just as a summary, as a one pager with that amount. If that's something the board wants to see the details for, we certainly provide that, but
Don't need to know how to build a watch, I just
Okay.
know what time it is and how you got to it.
And the second part of that too is, and just to refer to the one page that you've got, that is a memo with change orders with some blue and green on it. The ones tonight are ones that are over a threshold amount that we agreed in the stakeholder review, that if they're over $50,000, there is one that actually two betterments that are under the $50,000 threshold. Betterment number 33, also listed as PCO 16, that I did approve, and that's reporting to you, and that's the one marked in green. The ones tonight specifically are PCO 12, 14, and 15. 12 is related to infrastructure for concessions. This is related to the city of Pasco, and specifically the potential concessionaire that'll be providing food services, recommended doing some things. So there's an additional amount for that. If I recall, it's largely in the outdoor snack shack area, potentially in the interior space as well. PCO 14, I think I could just say labor and industries required us to do something we didn't expect. So there's a $62,000 item. And then the slide betterment, let's see, 15, furniture, fixtures, and equipment. This is an item of $132,000 that is not specifically a change order that's a net cost to the owner, but is moved from an adjacent budget, but does require approval from the board according to the stakeholder matrix. And then I note on there that PCO 17 does not require board approval, and then I did get confirmation from the Design and Construction Committee, as it was on their radar too, that they weren't supportive of it, and I wanted to make sure that was true before I adopted that, and that one's for $40K. Questions on the specifics of 12, 14, or 15, or the process in general?
I'd like to know more detail about 12, please.
And I'm going to see if Heath can help me out with that one.
That was all that was all the added scope in the predominantly the outdoor concessions. After we brought in, Matt was able to bring in cooperation with the city, a a vendor to talk about what might be needed in order to produce the kind of concessions that would be attractive to a concessionaire to be able to support the facility. Some of the ideas that were thought of added the need for additional infrastructure, not additional equipment because we're not buying that equipment, but additional infrastructure to carry equipment. So there were new plumbing lines, new electrical circuits, things like that, that were above and beyond what was conceptualized in the original design. And so as a result, we have to, that is added scope to Boughton to add that stuff. And that's what it was.
Okay, but what kind of equipment? Because when we designed the snack shack before, we said that there was like a convection oven and there was a smoothie machine blender and there was a microwave. And so what are we doing now?
Yeah, there was some additional cooling, the capacity for additional freezers and cooling. And there was some capacity for additional types of ovens, and capacity for a possible dishwasher, which wasn't in the original. And then some of those things also increased the need for, thank you, Matt, because I didn't have it with me, but there's also that increased the need for cooling. So we upsized the cooling in there.
Which HVAC was about $80,000 of that, for example.
Yeah. And that was actually a big piece of it, was upgrading and updating the cooling of the facility to make it more usable. The electrical was about 23,000 of it, and that was just circuits for those things I mentioned. For the most part, those are the big highlight items. And then obviously there's all the associated markups and things per the contract. So it's making that concession stand much more future ready, for being able to expand it and offer different things out of it that would potentially increase revenue and experience at the facility.
So PCO 12 brings the infrastructure, basically the make ready, and
Yeah.
PCO 15 buys the equipment that you just spoke of.
So PCO 15 does not buy it buys the equipment, but most of that equipment is more of the stuff we were already planning on buying. The added equipment would be, the idea is some of that added equipment would be the responsibility of the concessionaire that has the contract to bring their own equipment. Because the plan currently is to contract that out to a concessionaire. So we were trying to focus on putting infrastructure in and basic equipment, and then a concessionaire would be responsible for bringing any other equipment in. The equipment that we purchased there, what Matt mentioned about that, just to clarify, is that is a change order to Boughton because it makes sense to have them buy that equipment and provide it with the rest of the stuff. But it's not a use of owner contingency because we already had planned to buy that equipment out of the FF&E budget. So we're not using contingency for that, but it is a change order to Boughton. So we need your approval of the change order, but it won't be paid for out of contingency. It'll be paid out of FF&E dollars.
So you're just moving the money from Winneha's budget that was going to buy this equipment, and Boughton is going to buy it instead.
Yeah, we're moving the money from the PPFD's budget to buy for furniture and fixtures into Boughton's contract so that they can buy them. We're getting a better deal buying them that way, and it's more efficient and better for coordination.
Okay.
Sounds like though we should agree with Marie. Moving from
That's always a good
moving
idea.
from Winaha's budget, because this comes from Winaha's budget. Hey, Debbie, so maybe I'm confused here, but I don't see something in here for us to sign for this motion. Are we supposed to? Do we have, no, we don't need any? Okay, good.
I think you'd just be authorizing Matt to sign.
Okay, perfect.
Now, would you describe that $50,000 thing? I'm not totally understanding what you are trying to tell me or us.
Which, let's see,
The very first paragraph up there where you talk about $50,000.
Oh, that was our stakeholder register that you adopted as policy early on, where we set a process for approving these. Similar, you were asking what the process is. Anything over 50,000, the stakeholder register says we bring to the board. So Matt doesn't just, Matt has been authorized by you through that stakeholder register to sign things that are under 50,000. Anything over 50,000, he brings to the board.
Yeah, okay, that'll be another question coming up. So, okay.
Okay, then I guess at this point, Murray, you have your light on.
These come out of, I'll just call it the betterment file. Something like that. So if the betterment file had $100,000 in it, this comes off at $100,000.
Yeah, you have
Okay.
contingency, and that contingency level that I'm reporting in my report.
Yeah, and I understand. The only problem is the print's too small for me to read, so I've got to ask a lot of times. And so this is kind of one of those things that we didn't know was going to get here, but we need to do it. And that's why I've always said, be careful on which money you're spending coming into this thing. And I'm just making a statement, not at anybody. I'm just making a statement is that there's only so many dollars out there, and you go.
I would be quite candid too. These are the ones that
Speak up, Matt.
these are the ones that make you crazy. As you've shared before, these are one of this is an example of that. And hopefully these are far and few between.
I tell you, I appreciate what you've done on these here and listening to the thought process of enhancing it, because I went through this out at the quote unquote old track facility. And that thing was bouncing all over the place between contractors, back to the county running it internally, and nothing fit any other contractor that came in. So you had to redo electrical, all this sort of stuff. So it's a really bad mousetrap. It's really bad mousetrap. And I don't know how you guess at it to get it the way it's going to fit 80% of what happens.
Well,
So what you're doing is okay.
our approach here was to try to bring a possible concessionaire in and talk with them. And it did result in us realizing that it might be beneficial to add some things. So hopefully maybe this is gonna keep us from having the problem you saw, but I don't think there's ever a perfect mousetrap, like you say, for that.
I mean, we literally went through hundreds of thousands of dollars
Yeah.
to make somebody happy that would come in that left after a year.
I kind of noticed that through the process talking with the contractor, and what I observed in the deciding of where to make the cut on some of these things seemed a reasonable approach. The contractor didn't get everything they wanted. There was an eye and a discussion on trying to think about what future contractors might want as well. And I think also helpful to that discussion was Brooke from our design group that also that helped out as well. City providing that potential contractor was very illustrative though, and it's a iterative process. We think we're striking the right balance here.
Yeah, and I would think that for at least the concessionaire stand, you know, if we're bringing these additional utilities so that a future vendor could bring equipment that we didn't anticipate, if he doesn't have what he needs by now, then that's it. You don't offer that product. I'm sorry.
Process is decisions as for, so you're gonna have to tear walls down, put something in. So I have no problem with what you're doing here. Just recognize that comes out of that $100,000.
Yep.
But these things are factored into our anticipated burn rate of the contingency that we've talked about in the past.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
I move to approve change orders PCO 012, PCO 014, and PCO 15 for the aquatic facility construction project as presented in the total amount of $321,356.32.
And is there a second?
Second.
So it's been moved and seconded to approve change orders PCO 12, 14, and 15 for the aquatics facility construction project as presented in the total amount of $321,356.32. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then all in favor of the change orders as presented, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. The motion carries.
And with that, I will follow up with a signature with Winnaha on those items as your director, so that they can move forward on those and pay those.
Okay, agenda item 9B, resolution number 2025-05, amended interlocal agreement with the city of Pasco related to legal counsel services. And who's this is you?
Well, I know that Mr. Ferguson is online, and so there'll be a test here to see if he is able to speak if he chooses to. And I just see, I think he unmuted himself. Can you, we'll tell you.
Can you guys hear me?
Hey, we can hear you, Eric.
Okay, great. Yeah, apparently they have internet in Arizona, which is a good sign, I guess. All right, so yeah, this is just a basic the small change related to the interlocal agreement. The change, the one that you have in your packets has all the accepted changes. So I'll just go over, if you don't mind, real quick, since that was the version that council passed. So not a whole lot changed, except for if you'll go to section, I guess it's in the interlocal agreement. So it's the attachment to the resolution, and it's on page 2, number 2, where it says the city attorney, and it now says may, it used to say shall, serve as the attorney for the district. And then the word or was added. Previously it said unless a conflict arises. And now it says or the district will have the option, which was added, to contract for their own legal services. That portion was added as well. And then obtain separate legal counsel was stricken. The final sentence, this would ensure that the district continued, it should say, has continued legal representation regardless of future city attorney availability. So those were the changes that were made to the interlocal agreement. Everything else was just date and sequence oriented in terms of adding the fact that this was extended until down in the term of agreement. It was extended to yes, it looks like it's extended to the 30th day of September 2026. Obviously, the phrase that's been added there as well as this or an updated ILA replaces this current ILA. So that's anticipated to be coming sooner rather than later as well. We can get to that later, but essentially that's just making that change right now, since the clock is ticking on Kurt Ferguson's contract with regard to the city of Pasco. Will no longer be providing their city attorney services at the end of the year. So the PPFD needs to obviously have the flexibility to move forward on pursuing their own legal counsel. I don't know, I'm not involved with the current process that the city's undergoing to obtain legal services. I do know they have, they're moving forward with both an interim contract, an RFP. They have an RFP they've posted related to seeking an interim firm after we conclude at the end of the year, while they are going through that process and finalizing bringing someone in-house. And I have seen those announcements have been I guess, marketed to the legal profession. So yeah, so not sure exactly what that looks like for them with regard to that, but this change allows the board some flexibility, whereas before that shall really kind of hamstrung the board from being able to go and get its own legal counsel.
Eric, this is Mark. Hey, help me to understand, there's resolution 2025-05, which has exhibit A, the interlocal agreement. And then there's also an interlocal agreement that needs to be signed tonight. So is like one of these our copy and one for the city, or how does this work? What are we signing here?
Debbie may.
Mark, I can answer that.
Okay, good.
The one that's attached to the resolution is the exhibit that is included with that resolution. The other one is the official agreement. So if you would sign that tonight, then we'll get the city to sign and it will be executed.
Okay, so this will be the one for the city and us.
Yes,
Okay.
and we'll share a copy with,
Okay.
they'll be placed in both repositories.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. Okay. Are there any more questions for Matt or Eric or Debbie?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So Exhibit A, City of Pasco base compensation. How is that related to this?
Do you want me to answer that?
Yeah, go ahead. Somebody.
Sure. Yeah. So the base compensation. So the one thing that and Debbie, she did a great job of catching the idea that we have the Exhibit A with the current that's based on still the current ILA being able to the same rate of 9,500 for services is completely separate and apart from legal services. So that's not included in that, but that has changed. And that exhibit that went with that original one, it was a little confusing, but there's no, it begins, that increase begins in April of 2023 and goes forward from there. So it's still technically, it's not the latest number that the city's paying, or excuse me, that the board's paying, but it's still inclusive in knowing that when this one gets adopted beginning in April of 2023, it will have had those subsequent I guess amendments, for lack of a word to describe it. Does that answer your question?
No. I mean, April 2023 was more than 2 years ago. So
Right.
we're saying that this is the rates that we've been paying, but it
This is
doesn't
the-
include the legal.
No, it does not, because legal puts their own I understand that the legal department or the legal submits their own separate billing at a billing.
Yes,
Is that correct?
That is true.
So that's not included, but this Exhibit A and Exhibit B went with the original or original ILA and needed to be included because that part hadn't changed and it was effective in 2023 and has since been increased based on the ILA information. So, and it's the city's portion. So I'm sorry, that was confusing.
Okay, so the only changes we're making to the ILA are on section 2, number 2. That one paragraph related to the city attorney.
That's that, and then the other substantive change is related to term of the agreement, which was extended till September 2026 or replaced with a different ILA.
Where is the September?
It should be section 4, term of the agreement. Is that showing up down there? Excuse me, section 5.
Oh, okay, now I see it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sorry. We had the same issue show up with council in the sense that the changes got accepted on our end, and so we kind of just had to walk them through it. But this is the final version that council passed.
Okay.
Okay, is there any further discussions? And if not, would somebody please go ahead and make the motion?
I move to approve resolution number 2025-05, approving an amended interlocal agreement with the city of Pasco related to legal counsel services.
And is there a second? So it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution 2025-05, approving an amended interlocal agreement with the city of Pasco related to legal counsel services. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then all in favor of the motion as read, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. So did you vote?
Yes.
Okay, so the motion carries. Thank you. Okay, are you still there, Eric, for number 9, or 10, pardon me, other business attorney report, Ferguson?
Yeah, not a whole lot new to cover other than what was just dealt with regard to the interlocal agreement. Yeah, with the city's process, not sure what that looks like, but I know Matt and I have discussed his moving forward with the RFP to obtain additional legal services for the board. But I did want to make sure that the board was aware that unfortunately, it does not look like we're going to be able to submit or be part of that RFP process going forward. Initially, we had thought we would be able to be a potential option. I know that it was going to be an RFP process that was going to be competitively addressed anyway, but unfortunately, it looks like we've had some significant issues that have come up. I'm not at liberty to go in depth, but some significant issues with regard to some staffing and some health issues and things. And so at this time, it looks like from just a business perspective that that's not something we're going to be able to be involved in going forward. And so as our contract runs out with the city at the end of the year, we would be obviously done as well with moving forward with the board.
All right, well, that sounds unfortunate news there, Eric, and I'm not sure where this leaves us, Matt.
That last bit, it's the first I'd heard of that. I am planning to give a report on an update to go for the RFQ process. What's going to be extra important is that we do receive other submissions. I hoped Mr. Ferguson would submit, but if he's not, then we're going to, I think the pressure will be on us to find another attorney, and I appreciate Eric letting us know tonight. So again, news to me. I'll process that, I guess, after the meeting.
Yeah,
Yes.
my apologies, Matt. Matt and I and Jesse met just last Tuesday, and at that point believed that we would still be able to move forward and try to be part of the process going forward. But yeah, we've had some significant changes.
All right, Eric. Well, listen, we're going to wish you the best. Get well, okay?
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Morrison, I did have, notwithstanding that, I do have a question, Mr. Ferguson, on the timeline. I know that the city is eager to get this result by the 1st of December. They're running out of time to be able to do this interlocal agreement. So timeline specifically, I know that Mr. Ferguson is tasked as a current attorney to come up with a timeline and also work through that. I've gotten a note from the city that we'll need a draft by November 2nd on that interlocal agreement. Is that something you're going to still be able to provide, Mr. Ferguson?
Yeah, no, thanks for bringing that up, Matt. That has been a topic of discussion internally on our side, as well as both when meeting with city management. And good news with that is that we do have a rough sketch of, thanks to Jesse for kind of brainstorming, putting down some ideas. So that really is going to be a lot of help to get a rough draft going. This has been made abundantly clear by both the city staff and management that this is the number one thing they want us to focus on. There's obviously a kind of a mad dash for the door. There's a lot of stuff that's trying to get through a small window here. But that being said, this is number one on our list.
Good to hear. And that draft, that's probably also something that maybe we would want to run through the Budget and Finance Committee to take a look at. So hopefully we can get that in advance and have you, a couple of board members will take a look at that. I think that Eric probably would help with characterization. I hear belts and suspenders and how detailed should we go with that? And Jesse's provided a lot of specific detail. And I think that hopefully Mr. Ferguson will be able to come up with that draft interlocal agreement, because this will be a significant update and we get that adopted by the December council meeting and then shortly after adopted also by this group as well, because we both need to adopt it. So we're still on that schedule to get that done by the end of the year.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Eric. So that puts us to agenda item 10B, Pasco Operations and Maintenance. Jesse Rice.
Good evening, everyone. So updates for us based on the direction of City Council and creating an ILA. Staff have continued to help with the design and build process, but we've also shifted to designing an operational manual as well as a safety and lifeguard training manual. So for the last couple of weeks, our staff member Dan Tomlinson has been working on that. And related to that, he's reached out to several of the other aquatics facilities in the area, well, what I call the area, the region, and they will be coming to help take a look at our facility and touring it, as well as going through those operational and training and safety manuals to help us provide input for those, that we are ready to continue to move forward as we get closer to completion and opening day. Is there any questions on any of those items?
Do you anticipate on the maintenance side having somebody there prior to completion of construction, so that I guess not construction, construction, so that they are somewhat familiar with installations and those kind of things?
Yes, similar to the lifeguards, we hope to have staged as needed, of course, but have most of those staff hired and familiar with those facilities and ready to operate them from the beginning. And that's really the only way to do that. So, and either Matt or Heath can discuss that, but the facility will be operational, up and running, and we won't be, turning it on the day we open. So there'll be plenty of time to, get staff in there and get them trained, including, going through some of the warranty work and specifications and how to maintain that equipment, which we're also going to include in our operations manual, so we can ensure that equipment is maintained appropriately.
Also, it should be noted, the city has been participating through the process. Dan Doda and Dan Tomlinson, who are city staff who do manage the facilities, we have them come and look at things. They have a every other week site walk with us. They look at installations. They weigh in on things. We have them weigh in and give opinions on the serviceability and maintainability of different materials and different installations. So it's been a really good process. They've been very helpful, and I think it's really going to help make sure that we're building something that they feel they can maintain.
This week in particular, brushing levels of concrete for maintenance and also cleanability has been an interesting topic of conversation. Dan Doda and Dan Tomlinson have been out multiple times. So they are part of the facility and contributing a tremendous amount.
Anything else?
That is everything for me.
All right, thank you. So item number 10D, it reads singular, Ambassador Committee Report.
Actually, I think there's a 10C if you wanted to go.
Oh, pardon me, I checked it off already. Yes, indeed.
It's a good one to skip.
Somebody bring the teacher, you bring the eraser. Go ahead.
I'll just echo what Marie said. The construction's going very well. Swimmingly well, if you will. But it is going good. Boughton has been a great partner in this whole process. They're doing a really good job out there. And some highlights I'll highlight for you. And out of my report is just this month we did. Boughton finished all their analysis, and we have confirmed that the operator strike did not affect our schedule. So there's no negative effects of the schedule. And that's good teamwork by the entire team, but especially Boughton's proactive management of that situation really saved us there and resulted in our schedule just humming right along through the strike, which was awesome. Not all projects were that fortunate, so it's good. And then I'll point out to you that I added a box in in the financial reporting part of our report. Some of these things that Matt has been reporting to you, what are called CUAs, which are contingency use agreements, that aren't change orders of the contract, but they do they come out of the design builders contingency that's in their budget. I went ahead, since Matt's been showing you kind of the sausage making a little bit there, I wanted to make sure that you had a view into what that means. And so I've just reported an extra line, extra box there that shows you the status of the design builder's contingency. So again, that contingency inside their contract. So use of that does not affect your contract price, but it is something we keep a look at because anything that's left in that could potentially come back and be used for betterments, right? So we do keep an eye on it. Just so you know, it's tracking okay, but we're not counting on any savings right now out of it. If the burn rate continues at the current rate, which I think it'll slow down and there'll be a few dollars there, but if the burn rate continues, there won't be a bunch of savings there, it looks like. But the good news is that it's healthy. They're not upside down, which wouldn't be your problem necessarily. That would be their problem, but it's good to see that it's healthy and that they're tracking. So. Other than that, just contingency usage is always reported on my report, to the point we were talking about earlier, Leonard, like we track the total contingency usage. One of the things I did recently was kind of look at that and say, okay, wait, how much of this was actual decisions to spend on betterments versus unforeseens that we had to spend, those change orders that we kind of have to do versus the ones that we choose to do. And of the 2.3 million that we've spent out of contingency, only 482,000 of that was those unforeseen things that we had to spend. The rest of it has been betterments. I think that's awesome. That's a really good thing. Like, so far, your contingency is being protected and metered out carefully, but it also is largely going to things that you wanted to buy, not things that you had to buy. So it's pretty cool. Also, I would be remiss to mention the cost of work contingency inside the design builders. Their burn rate on that also includes a couple $100,000 that came back to us through that contract from the initial phase of validation and pre-construction. So there were savings realized that Boughton realized inside their contract. We got to see those savings come back and feed that contingency and refill it a little. So it's all part of the process, and the process is going well and it's working. And I think that's just about all I have to offer. The indoor pool is dug out. There's a big hole inside the building and there's a lot of piping and stuff going into it. And that's super exciting to get the interior pool, the indoor pool going. And the outdoor pool is getting ready to pour walls on the pool itself. It's pretty awesome.
So it's been a while since I've been out there. How do we
come on out?
Make arrangements to stop by to see the progress?
Call Matt or I.
Okay. Sounds good.
Call Matt or I. We'll meet you out there and give you a walk. Love to.
Very good.
Love to do that.
That's it. Thank you, Heath. All right, now we're to the Ambassador Committee report. Is there anything, Paul, you want to say to us, ask us, or comments, questions? Yes.
I just want to say the Public Facility District Board is kind of an unknown quantity around town. I mean, people, as you know, if you told somebody you were on the Public Facility District Board, they go, what's that? But we are as citizens of Pasco, we're very fortunate to have the board that we have. I sat here tonight and see all the different things that you were dealing with that aren't routine. And then I've observed over the last several months that routine, I guess you could say routine, in any construction project, the way you handle them, the way you approach them, the seriousness that you have taken your responsibilities, it's quite remarkable. And I hope somehow you guys get the recognition you deserve. And maybe a big bonus at the end of the project or something. Yeah, well, that's why you're doing so well, because you guys have taken it personal. And as somebody that's envisioned something like this for a long time, I can't be more excited to see it come and more grateful for what you guys have done.
So,
You
yeah,
deserve
this is a
all the
project,
credit.
you know, that we're doing for Pasco and the greater Pasco area, and we want it to be as right as we possibly can.
No, and that shows.
Yeah, well, thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you. Keep it up. As if I had to say that.
it. All right.
Thanks, Kai.
Some
You
of
bet.
us have been bleeding on this thing for 23 years.
Yeah. Yeah, and there were ESD board members before you that took their job serious, but they didn't have anything to do. I mean, compared to what you guys are doing.
Yeah. Well, it was all laying the groundwork.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Paul, you better turn off the light there. I know that it gets pointed out from me, so I'm looking for you. Executive Director's Report.
I think this is timely too. Paul putting in perspective, 23 years in the making, and I just did a finger count. We're 7 months away from opening. That cannot overstate how quick those 7 months are going to go by. So we're close, and we're going to keep our eye on the ball on a variety of things to make sure that we get that opening in May. Also timely too, Paul talked about the knowledge of the PFD as an entity. I think it's fair to say that the people perceive that rightly or wrongly as a city of Pasco thing, and there certainly is an interconnection. But I think this is timely because my first report item wanted to give a branding and marketing update. And while I do occasional Facebook post and our ambassadors promote in the community, and you all promote, and Boughton and Winnoha and all the people involved in this project are promoting, we're brought in professional help. Just wanted to report that we had our discovery and project kickoff with our design firm Focal Point. We did basically a dump of telling them what the past has been, where we're at, where we'd like to go in general terms on marketing. They're going to be beginning different phases of the project, including brand exploration, development, and a variety of other subtasks. So I believe what you'll see is they're going to do some community involvement exercises, similar to some of the ones places we have done some outreach in the past to make sure that the broad section of cross section of the community is involved. And there will also be involving the board. There'll be certainly a final presentation to the board, but I would expect that as board members, you would get invited to talk with them to make sure that they come up with a cohesive branding and marketing package. Just at the beginning of that, then that'll be concluding when we're also opening. So expect more on that. I've also included another page that looks similar to the one that you did the motion that doesn't require a motion tonight, related to contingencies. And just remind you too, these are items that have no increase to the contract price. There's just involved, as Heath explained, within that contingency process. But that's part of the stakeholder matrix to inform you about those. So if you have any questions, you certainly could go through any of those. And then I think probably the big one here is was planning to do an RFQ update with Eric's announcement tonight. I think that makes it extra critical that I have an RFQ draft. I'm going to take another look at it since Mr. Ferguson's not going to be responding to it, to make sure that we get capable attorneys. I'm going to put in some little extra effort to make sure that we cast as wide a net as possible for attorney services. So I'll be working on that, and I'm be thinking about that after tonight as well. I would just note too, talking with the city, since they're going through another attorney process as well, And I think also Mr. Ferguson's talked about it too. Finding talented attorneys in the municipal space is hard. It's very likely we're going to have to cast a net that isn't just local. We may have to think about having an attorney from a larger area, principally the Puget Sound. I know that we did that with our bond attorney, and we also did it a special counsel related to our design construction process. So I'm just going to ask for some patience on the board to do that. And but at the same time, I'm going to get it done by the end of the year and have that process. So we have you another attorney. That's just became a more important goal for me as your executive director to find you a competent attorney. So I'm going to ask for your patience and also probably some help on that as a board moving forward.
All right, we'll be available. Thank you, Matt. Then we go to item F. Our next board meeting will be Tuesday, November the 18th, right here. And
We will reserve the option to turn that into a workshop meeting
Okay.
style upstairs. Not 100% sure we're going to. I think I'm going to talk with Heath. Also, I think depending on, we can talk about some contingency stuff. We may turn that next one into more of a workshop style in November, and then I would expect also we'll need a December meeting to finish out the year.
okay, so then if it's upstairs, then it'll be on the, just so that I won't bug you with a phone call, then it'll be on the agenda, the location will.
We
show up
changed
there,
the
we'll look
location
for it there.
upstairs. Yeah, it would still
Okay.
be a business meeting, but sitting around a table with each other. I think we're expecting next month to be one of those style meetings and have a little bit of a different tone.
No executive session tonight?
No.
Okay, it is 5:36 and it's time to adjourn until Tuesday, November the 18th. Thank you, everyone.